On the first day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me a stabbed and a ruptured spleen.
This morning I thought I hit the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, when all I really got was a bunch of coal in my Christmas stocking.
Day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 3 broken bones, 2 concussions, and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen.
Hi, this is Colin Flaherty, the proprietor of this podcast and this platform. Here we talk about black violence, black criminality, black dysfunction, wildly out of proportion all over the country, and how so many people are in denial, deceit, and delusion about it, and we do it all without racism, without rancor, without apology.
On the 6th day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 6 shattered windows, 5 charges filed.
You know, what really energizes this platform and this podcast is the fact that it's not just that the crime is occurring, the violence is occurring, but that there's so many people that are they're just so committed to not letting us know what's really happening with it.
4 slashed tires, 3 broken bones, 2 concussions, and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen.
We call that the greatest lie of our generation, the greatest hoax of our lifetimes, black victimization and white racism, and we expose that here every day. So let's get back to my rainbow and my stocking full of coal. The rainbow started out in my email box this morning. Somebody sent me a link to an article in Tablet magazine. That's a Jewish lifestyle magazine. It has stuff about diet, religious practices, Jewish personalities, and, Israel and stuff in the news. And the person who sent it to me also sent me an excerpt from the magazine. When I saw that, I thought, man, that is really a mitzvah. Really, thank you for doing that, because I get a lot of email, and if you'll just, and the way this guy really helped me figure out what was in the email really was a huge help. And I hope the rest of you guys who sending me a lot of stuff can take a cue from that. Just remember how much stuff I get, and I would hate to miss anything good. So anyway, here's what got my full attention. It was about the shooting in New Jersey. A couple of fellas walked into a Jewish deli. Next thing you know, at the end of the day, there are 6 dead people, including the fella and his lovely lady. And so the excerpt the guy sent me it said something like, de Blasio, this is not on de Blasio's radar screen because it doesn't fit his narrative that white supremacists are roaming the streets of New York City, killing black people and doing all sorts of bad things. And we did that story a couple days ago, right? How de Blasio, right after the New Jersey shooting, the New Jersey massacre, right after that, the next day, de Blasio announced the formation of this task force in the New York Police Department dedicated to rooting out these white nationalists and white supremacists that are roaming the streets of New York, creating all this carnage. They actually mentioned the Proud Boys, who are probably, the most harmless group of young men you're ever going to meet in your life. Yeah, I met them. They're good guys, young guys. But now they're featured on the headlines of the New York Times as being a menace to society. So I saw that in the clip. I thought, oh man, this is fantastic. Finally, we're going to get some Jewish person in a Jewish publication just calling out the fellas and their lovely ladies for everything that they do to target Jewish people with violence, mayhem, threats, murder, terrorism. Because that's one of our big themes around here, is that over the last couple of weeks anyway, we've seen a lot of black on Jewish violence, and we just keep saying, hey, when are the Jewish people going to stand up and call it for what it is? When are they going to look at the black leadership? You notice I never use expressions like that, black leadership. It's because I'm not buying into their con game that they're leaders of anything. But anyway, so I'm just like, when are we going to have people, question and introduce this whole thing into the public discussion. I mean, it's not happening. And Jewish people in New York especially are just victims every day. Threats, terrorism, violence, murder, property damage, theft, robbery. But it's really hard to get even otherwise brave and bold writers, brave and bold public figures, especially Jewish ones, to come out and say, yeah, Jewish people are being targeted by the fellas and lovely ladies. It's been happening a long time, doing a lot of damage. Instead, we get the kind of thing that I got last night on my Twitter stream from somebody, I guess they thought they were a friend or an ally. I guess they are. She thought she was being generous when she mentioned this whole topic. She said, yeah, people of color are targeting Jewish people. To me, that's an out. It's a cowardly out. Because, when I hear people say that, the first thing I think of is, are there roving bands of Asian kids roaming through the Jewish section of Brooklyn, attacking Jewish people? Are there roving bands of people from India doing that? Are there roving bands of Hispanics? That's what I said. I said, there's no people of color doing this. There are no Hispanics doing that.
How dare you?
So I asked her, like I ask everybody, I said, listen, if that's happening, can you just send me a story, send me a video? She goes, oh, hell yeah, Colin, I can do that. Sure enough, I issued this challenge over 1,000 times. This is the first time anybody's ever responded the way this person did. They respond. I don't know how old this video was, but she sent me a video, and it was a video of a Hispanic kid with an Hispanic surname, knocking the hat off of a Jewish person and running away on video. He was charged with a crime. Hip, hip, hooray.
This is all wrong.
So that's one case of an Hispanic person doing it versus 1,000 black people. The only other case I've seen was an Arab guy in a limo. He's driving a limo. You see this on video. You see him turn the corner and he sees a Jewish guy dressed in Orthodox Jewish clothing. He jams on his brake, gets out of his car, and he starts chasing the Jewish guy around until he catches him and starts beating him. All right, so let's get back to my pot of gold. So I'm reading this article, and it starts out really well. I mean, it gives some really good details about all the violence, black on Jewish, it doesn't say black violence against Jewish people recently up in New York and Williamsburg and Brooklyn, one after another, some stuff I hadn't even heard about. People getting hit with bricks in the face, lots and lots of stuff like that. And he accurately said, listen, this is not a big deal because this does not fit in de Blasio's narrative. Okay, you get props for that. But all the props this writer was collecting, they've dissipated. Just like a snowball on a summer day. They dissipated when he blamed it on people of color. That's a cop-out. That's a cowardly way out. There are no Asian people, Hispanic people, Indian people running around. Well, there's one Hispanic person, but there's not happening. So this is a black thing in Brooklyn and lots of other places all over the country, as I've documented here many times and in my books. But we just cannot get these Jewish writers at these Jewish magazines to look it in the eye and call it for what it is. They go right up to the edge and they just turn away. So when I was looking, I went over to Tablet magazine, and I put in some search terms, see if I could see if anybody else had a spate of courage, a spasm of courage to call a thing. And I put in some search terms, and there was a big story, follow-up story to this massacre in Newark, where a writer followed a rabbi. He just came from a press conference with de Blasio. They're at the store, and I think the rabbi starts engaging with some of the fellas in the neighborhood. This is a black neighborhood. And yesterday we did the podcast where a member of the school board came up and said, listen, we don't like Jews around here because they're always trying to buy our property. Yeah, that's a crime. Making a free offer that you are free to turn down is now in somebody's mind, it's not just a crime, it's like the worst thing you can do on this planet. But it's not just this school board member who was busted doing this. In this article, it was like all kinds of people were just standing around. They were all agreeing, going, oh, yeah, the Jews are in here buying all the crap up, and that's the worst thing in the world. And they were very explicit about who was doing it, why they were doing it, how it's some kind of big plot, and how they don't like Jews one single little bit. They were fellas, not identified as fellas other than by name. Then I got to another article, and I was kind of like, almost got there by accident. I'm still not sure how I got there. Anyway, I'm reading this article, and it's like, black this, black. And I go up to the top, and it's an article about a Jewish music producer. I guess he's kind of a youngish guy, and he's making a go of it out in L.A. I think he's doing pretty well, and he's talking about his experiences with all these famous rappers and hip-hop stars. And if you know the difference between rap and hip-hop, as I do not, I'm very impressed with you. Anyway, I just saw the one question was, tell us about Lamar Kendrick. Or is it Kendrick Lamar? I don't know. Anyway, the only thing I know about Kendrick Lamar is he's kind of at the tip of the pyramid. He gets all the awards. And I remember tuning into his bit on the Grammys a couple years ago, and it was, all of his music, apparently it's a little more elevated than everybody else doing the guns, drugs, money, bitches, murder, violence stuff. But it's not elevated that much. He's still into the guns, drugs, money, bitches, violence, and he throws in a little Black Lives Matter and cops suck too. So the white critics think that's like the greatest thing in the world. And he just keeps going, saying how in his life he was really infatuated with black culture and black music, and he followed it his whole life. Okay, fine. Wouldn't it be really interesting if somebody took this expression they threw around so freely called black culture and say, okay, here's this thing called black culture. Now, where does this violence against Jewish people fit into it? Why is it so common? Why is it so accepted? These people were accepting the murder of some Jewish shopkeepers. Why is it so easily excused? Why is it so easily ignored by people like de Blasio while he's chasing the Proud Boys around? I can't get any answers from any of the prominent Jewish intellectuals in America when I read their stuff about this. So there goes my pot of gold. One of the things we talk about here from time to time is, how the material, so much material, I'm just overwhelmed with it. That's why I mentioned I was so happy when the guy sent me the email, gave me the clip, gave me the excerpt about what was in this clip. Really helpful. Overwhelmed with it. And so this morning, I got up, did my normal, grabbed myself a cup, Paul McCartney, got up, got out of bed, ran a comb across my head. Made my way downstairs and had a cup. Looking up, I noticed I was late. That's how I start my mornings. Noticed I was late. So I turn on while I'm just gathering things. Most of the times I don't, but today I thought I'd put on a little white noise. And I put on, I think it's called The First 48. It's that show where they go around catching killers in the first 48 hours. All of a sudden, they're talking about an Hispanic guy whose sister looked out heard some noise out in her front yard one night in front of their house, and she goes, "Hey, they're stealing my brother's car." And all of a sudden, her husband and her brother, they get up out of bed and they, start rooting around, and they go to the front door and they go, "Hey, what are you guys up to?" One of the fellas takes a gun and shoots at him and shoots at the guy that's on the front lawn. I think he missed him. The bullet goes in the house, shoots this woman's brother. That episode is called Stray Bullet. It's from 2015, in case you want to look it up. But immediately, I thought of the story, the Gelati family in Hoover, Alabama. That's one of those stories that if you go to Hoover, Alabama, maybe everybody will just go, I don't know, but I think they're probably going, yeah, that happened. It's over. What's next? Hoover, Alabama, this guy Gelati, you talk about an all-American family. He was a veteran. He was a good-looking guy, young guy. Every family, couple of kids, nice-looking wife, nice house. Everything was in front of him. He's the kind of guy that gets up at 4 a.m. to go to the gym. On his way to the gym, leaves the house, Right around 4 or so, he notices there are at least four, probably a lot more, but they only put 4 on trial. 4 fellas at his car trying to break into his car, if not steal it. You guys remember that story? So they finally caught him. They put him on trial. And all of them, I think one of them turned state's evidence. They were young guys, fellas. The guy with the trigger, the guy who everybody said pulled the trigger, they put him on trial for murder. And a Bronx jury, that according to you're going to hear the clip, a short clip. You're going to hear the clip in a second. They're going to say they deliberated intensely for 15 hours. And when they were done, they came out and found the kid guilty of breaking into the car, but they didn't find him guilty of murder.
Guy Wells' attorney said that the jury did not believe the prosecution's key witness, while the prosecution says that they think the jury did not understand aiding and abetting. Either way, the court justice in this case for the Mike Gelati family is still out of reach. 15 hours of intense deliberations led to Charleston Wells' acquittal. We tracked down his family as they exited the courthouse.
Any comments at all?
God fails, who can be against us? If God fails, who can be against us?
Wells was accused of murdering Mike Gelati in Lake Cyrus last year. He was charged along with Darian Bryan, Ahmad Johnson, and Deron Lucas. Mike Gelati's wife, Heather, has been very outspoken about her forgiveness for her husband's death. Today, she showed little emotion when the verdict was read, and later said to us, "This is the outcome that we are left with. I'm not one to argue with God. I feel that in this case, God may want to exemplify grace over earthly justice."
Okay, so the kid, you heard him, like in Alabama, under those conditions, you get probation, you're gone. You are guilty as hell, free as a bird. A couple months later, the same guy is arrested for attempted murder. And the defense attorney said, well, maybe they don't know, the jury didn't understand. The black people he didn't say this, the black people on the jury didn't understand the concept of, what it means to be an accomplice to a crime. So let's flash forward over to the first 48. And so I'm seeing the exact same story, except this one's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And, they found one guy. He immediately ratted everybody else out. Everybody said, yeah, he was the shooter. And they put them all on trial. They convicted each and every one of those guys, of murder, second or third degree. And the guy who pulled the trigger, he got like 40 years. Everybody else got 20 years. There's 5 guys, identical circumstances, 4 walk, 5 go to prison. And I can't get my mind around it, other than, around here, it seems like all we have to do is just walk outside and kick over a rock. And there it is under a rock, a really ridiculous, horrific story. And that's how I found this story this morning from Cicero, New York. It's just one of a billion stories that are just like it, except it had a couple of twists to it that I thought it might make it more interesting than a lot of the other ones that it is identical to. So why don't we just read the headline here? Cicero owner pistol whipped and robbed. Why would someone do that to me? And it's a 78-year-old guy living in the suburbs of Syracuse. He has a business, a used car business in Cicero. Never had any problem before. All of a sudden, one day a few weeks ago, a fellow walks in, says, "Give me all your money." The guy says, "Oh, hell no, you're not getting my money." So he starts beating the piss out of him with a gun, 20-year-old fella. And he steals $1,300 from this old white guy. Now, the old white guy is, all banged up, lost a bunch of teeth, stuff like that. They caught the guy who did it. His name is Blair Seals. And a lot of people in Syracuse know Blair Seals, because 1 month before, Blair Seals became a little bit of a celebrity up in that neck of the woods, because he was the subject of a major story in that paper where they talk about how Blair Seals is part of a new program that helped him turn his life around. Headline: Organization helps give youth on the wrong path a new chance. Subhead: Blair Seals grew up in the southwest side of town, surrounded by the wrong crowd. Well, that sounds like profiling. Now, growth and development is giving him and others a platform to grow personally And this is like a full-on thing. You see this guy, at home, and he's telling about how his life is turning around, but he's still dressed. He's got the do-rag on. He's got the ripped jeans. He's got the mannerisms of somebody leading a preferred lifestyle of crime and violence. But there he is. He's out doing a protest, and he's got a sign that say, OGs against violence. I don't know anything about the OG culture. I know OG stands for old gangster. I kind of thought you had to be like 30 to be an OG, not in your 20s, not 20. So he's going around telling everybody how, okay. Guess what? His life sucked growing up, okay? I mean, turn on any NFL football game on Sunday at halftime when they do the story of the big guy who is going to be the MVP this year, and they'll tell you the exact same story. The ghetto, no father, bad friends, crime, violence, blah, blah, blah. And this guy turned, and the rest of his OGs, they turned away from it. And they even have a group. It's called OGs Against Violence. And the person who founded OGs Against Violence actually knew this dude's mom in high school. And so the guy's mom, who's now dead a couple years ago, and that was like a traumatic thing for him. Quote, she asked me, says the woman who founded OGs Against Gun Violence, she asked me to talk to him when he grew up and started getting in trouble. He's working towards turning his life around. I can see that. The relationship he has established, they are talking about the OG. The relationship the OG has established with Ryan and the positive growth and development and OGs Against Gun Violence are taking in the city gives people like SEALs a voice in the community. According to him, those with real power to make changes in the city will listen to them as they have earned the spotlight through their activism. Now, Seals is living with one of his brothers on the north side. He holds a full-time job at a factory. He has dreams of opening up his own skating rink in the city where young people can go and have fun in a safe environment. Quote, I saw Seals come a long way. I saw Blair, that's his name, Blair Seals, when he was lowest and he really turned his life around. I'm so proud of him. A month later, this guy is beating the crap out of a 78-year-old white dude, putting him in the hospital, punching out his teeth with a gun. And nobody seems to want to connect the dots. Nobody wants to go back to these crazy people who says he was a good person now and say, hey, how'd that turn out? But there was one other thing in that article. So this guy lived in Syracuse for a long time, Cicero for a long time. He's talking to the reporter, and he ends the conversation by going, why would someone do this to me? And of course, if you read that article we were just talking about, we know the answer is because, some kind of life of hardship and deprivation led him to take a gun and beat the crap out of that old white person. That's the easy, false explanation. But then we go to the exact same story in Cincinnati. This happened. The guys are just on trial for it. What happened was a couple of fellas saw a couple of white girls in a car, stopped the car. They robbed the girls, threatened them, put a gun to their head, and one of the fellas pulls the trigger once. The gun does not go off. Bullet gets ejected. Hits it again. Boom, ejects the bullet. They actually found the casings and the bullet, two of them, on the scene where the guy tried to shoot the girl in the head, except the gun malfunctioned. And at her trial, the girl is talking about how her life is ruined, how she can't do this, she can't do that, she's afraid of everything. And she asked the same question that the old dude from Cicero, New York, asked. Why would anyone do this to me? I mean, when it happens to somebody else, the answers are always easy, right? It's like, oh yeah, well, he grew up without a mom, without a dad, and he lived in the woods where he was raised by a pack of wolves, and that's how he turned to a life of crime. Yeah, Colin, that's 100% the truth. How about this? They're not really that into you. They don't look at you as a person. They don't have the ability, the human ability, to look at you as a person. You're nothing but an object that they can rob, steal, and kill with no empathy whatsoever. Marlon Newburn used to talk about this a lot, that there are lots of fellas and little lovely ladies. And he said there's some groundbreaking research on this. Man, I wish we had somebody to replace Marlon. Yeah, good luck. Good luck with that. But he was talking about this lack of empathy that allows people just to do stuff like this to old men and to girls, the weakest and the most vulnerable among us, the whitest among us. He said you can tell now, when sometimes when if you go to like a daycare, and when the mom comes to pick up a kid at daycare, the reaction should be the kid should stop what he's doing and get up and run to good old mommy and go, "Hi, mommy, what are we having for dinner tonight? Could we have SpaghettiOs?" That's kind of a normal reaction. But Marlon said there's a lot of kids in these daycare centers. Yes, a lot of black kids in daycare centers that have absolutely no relationship with that person coming in the door to pick them up. They ignore them. They'd rather sit there and play with their Legos. This total lack of connection between the child and the parent, total lack of empathy. He said those are the kids that grow up to put guns on people's head and pull the trigger twice. Those are the people that beat the crap out of old men, then convince liberal white young female reporters that they turn their life around. And can't you tell? I got a new do-rag on here, and I've got a sign that says OGs against gun violence. I mean, is it really that easy? Is it real? I mean, is that all it takes? Marlon used to tell me about all the people he met in the criminal justice system, not the fellas and lovely ladies, about the people who worked in the system. How many of them were so easily fooled, so easily taken in, time after time after time. You write up the reports. Well, this person's not a danger. My favorite story is still, every time I say this story and I don't have it at my fingertips, somebody always writes in and goes, "Hey, Colin, can you send me this story?" Okay, I'll try to find it. Story about a couple of kids robbing a pharmacy. They're doing like a professional job. They've got the rubber gloves on. They've got zip ties. They've got a couple people tied down in the back room. So they're just going through. They're cleaning out the safe. They're cleaning out the drugs. All of a sudden, the 5-0 rolls in. That's the cops. The cops roll in. There's a gun battle. One of the fellas shoots a cop. I think the cop had a vest on. Fellas are in custody. The fellas are in front of a judge within an hour or two for bail. One of the court-appointed psychologist sitting there, he did an interview with the fella. He does a background report. He does this, he does that. And he goes, yeah, we're going to, on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being not dangerous, 5 being dangerous, we're going to give you a 1. That kid didn't have to put any bail up. He just shot a cop. He walked out on the street. He was back on the street before the cop was out of the hospital. Yes, you do have to go to the hospital when a bullet hits your vest. That's what so the people working in these systems, it's just top to bottom. It's full of, I hate to use words like corrupt and ignorant, incompetent. I don't even know what to call them. Other than everybody's in this big like nursery rhyme merry-go-round. You just put them on, they go round and around. Everybody's having a good time and it's real easy to get off. All you got to do is just convince one court worker that you're not a threat, and off you go to pursue your pursued lifestyle, just like that dude from Hoover, Alabama we heard about, guilty as hell, free as a bird, back on the street, killing people again. Oh yeah, that last story we did about the girls, pretty sure that was out of Cincinnati, a community called Loveland. Hey, let's veer out of our lane just a little bit here. Only because a couple of stories that have been in in the news that I might know a little bit more about than some of the reporters covering them, only because I have personal experience with them. But first, let's hear the chief poobah of all time, the person setting the tone, setting the agenda, appointing the committee chairs, telling them what they can and cannot do. Let's hear her respond to a simple question from a favored reporter. And if this doesn't scare the crap out of you, well, I don't know what will.
Run the risk, as some Republicans have said, of looking like you're playing games with impeachment if you hold on to these articles for too long.
I said what I was going to say, Nancy. When we bring the bill, which is, just so you know, there's a bill made in order by the Rules Committee that we can call up at any time in order to send it over to the Senate and to have the provisions in there to pay for the impeachment. And then the next step, the whatever you want to call it, the trial. That is where you put the managers. I was not prepared to put the managers in that bill yet because we don't know the arena that we are in. Frankly, I don't care what the Republicans say. Any other questions? Not on this subject. I've said this is it. I honored Nancy.
Is that strange? Is that strange? She's literally just like mumbling and putting words together that don't make any sense. Listen, I do this podcast without a script, and I very rarely go back and correct any mistakes. So yesterday I noticed I was talking about Truman Capote, and instead of calling his work nonfiction, and one time I called it fiction. I'm just hoping you guys kind of go along with the ride and figure it out. So when you do an hour of this, it's hard to, without a script. That's one thing. But if somebody asks you a simple question about one thing that's been your life for the last 3 years, and you answer like that, and that's the person in charge of overseeing all the denial, deceit, and delusion, whoa, that is strange. So last night, I was sitting there watching the Trump speech in Michigan. I think, what was it? Kellogg, Michigan? Or Battle Creek, one of those two. And he brought up the name John Dingell. Did you guys hear that? And he tells a story about how John Dingell, who is now known as the guy who was a member of Congress for a really long time. He died when he was 92. He was in Congress for a long time. And he died, 6 months ago. And his wife, Debbie Dingell, 27 years his junior. To the victor go the spoils. She calls Trump up and she goes, hey, could we give him the full Monty of honors? Well, John Dingell and Trump were not buddies. Dingell used to tell Trump to go to hell in public regularly. I know a little bit about Dingell. I've been hearing stories about Dingell from my father-in-law for a long time. Now, my father-in-law he passed away more than a couple years ago. He was a member of Congress. He served on Dingell's committee. He was a sub-chair. He was a chair of a subcommittee. They changed the name of this around a lot. House Energy and Commerce Committee. He was the chair of the Telecom Committee, and Dingell was the chair of the full committee. Dingell was chair of the full committee. So spending a little bit of time with him over the years while he was in office, after he was out of office, while Dingell was still doing his thing, I got a chance to meet a lot of other members of Congress, a lot of staffers who became congressmen. I got a chance to meet a lot of lobbyists, big-time lobbyists. Yeah. So my father-in-law was chair of the House Committee on Telecommunications, right? So when when NBC, CBS, ABC, and the National Association of Broadcasters go around hiring lobbyists, they're not really scrimping on the money. They hire a lot of them. They hire the best ones. They pay them a lot of money. So I used to hear all these Dingell stories. And the Dingell stories were always preceded by the fact that, he's a tough guy and he gets what he wants. So that's the old Machiavelli line, right? It's better to be feared than loved. But every single story about Dingell I heard from 25 to 50 people over a 10-year period was that Dingell was the biggest asshole ever to walk the face of this earth. Okay? And so today I didn't really look that carefully, but last night Trump is talking about Debbie Dingell. She wants the full Monty, and Trump gave it to her. The rotunda, the viewing, the this, the that. Dingell was a congressman who distinguished himself from ruling his moderately influential committee with an iron fist, but he didn't distinguish himself with any landmark thing that changed the landscape. He didn't distinguish himself by inspiring the love and devotion of his colleagues. As a matter of fact, I didn't look at this that carefully, but you notice last night Trump is telling the story, and he even says, maybe John's looking down on us. Then he pauses and he goes, well, maybe he's looking up from us, implication. Maybe Mr. Dingell is in hell right now. I was waiting for the outburst from all the people who served with Dingell to come back and say, oh my God, John Dingell, he was the sweetest, the kindest, the most respectful dude on the planet. No, I didn't see one person say that. All I heard was Debbie Dingell going, oh my God, this is my holiday, and this is my first year without the love of my life, Mr. John Dingell. He died when he was 92. I'm really missing him now. And Debbie Dingell she's a member of Congress. She took her husband's place. And, she's, even after the funeral, I guess Trump expected some kind of at least respectful reciprocal behavior, reciprocity. Thank you. So I'm getting worse than Nancy Pelosi. Reciprocity didn't come. Didn't have any effect on her whatsoever. Does anybody remember when Trump was first elected in November? Then we had a couple months there. And he spent a lot of time in Trump Tower meeting with people like Al Gore and Kanye and all these other people. I mean, I was wondering, why is he really going to the other side? Does he really think he can use the Trump charm to make them his friends, at least convince them to give him a fighting chance? Because none of them did. Not one of them did. Not one of them gave him a chance. Met with all the editors, patted him on the back, said all the right things. They just started ripping him as soon as they could, as often as they could, even if they had to make it up. Russiagate sound familiar to anybody? So there's Dingell. Now Debbie's out there trying to make Trump to be the bad guy because, he said some bad things about her husband.
And there's a whole generation, I say this, I said this, for apartheid South Africa. I said this for my own, community in the South. There are still generations of people, older people, who were born and bred and marinated in it, in that prejudice and racism, and they just have to die.
Now, I didn't look that hard, but the only guy I actually saw kind of stick up for Dingell or question Trump's remarks was that new member of Congress. I think he's from Texas. He's a former Navy SEAL. He's the guy with the eye patch. What's his name? Scarvino or something like that. Anyway, he came out and he said, well, that was, Debbie tweeted something and then he replied, that was unnecessary. To quote the greatest poet of the 21st century, she drew first blood. She was the one out there questioning every single thing about Trump and his family. Everything. And then Trump comes back with a little lighthearted stuff just to expose these people for the hypocrites that they are. And now we're supposed to all fall in line and go, oh my God, she's a grieving widow. Let's all take a moment to grieve for Debbie Dingell. No, ain't going to be no tears, at least on this end, because there were a lot of people when he left Congress that they weren't that sorry to see him go. Does anybody want to hear the Biden? As long as we're on the story of personal stories, okay, I'll do the 1 minute Biden story. It's about, a kid who later became one of my best friends, but in, 7th or 8th grade, the kid decided he was going to get into a lot more trouble involving drugs and older guys than kids in our neighborhood, kids at a little Catholic grade school got into. It was a big deal. He got arrested. His buddies got arrested. There were drugs involved, guns involved, stolen guns. Anyway, Biden was his public defender. And, basically Biden got him off. and Biden did a good job for this guy. And Biden used to, whenever he saw him, he goes, "Hey man, I know your father died a year or two ago. If you're ever down here, let me know. We'll go out, hop in my car. We'll go out and grab an ice cream cone. We'll drive around Beaver Valley." That's what they call the country around here. So not everybody back there is a complete asshole. Now, I don't know what Biden is like personally now. My brother worked for him for 20 years. He used to drive him around to his speaking engagements around this area, Wilmington. And I used to ask him, I said, "What do people think of Biden?" He goes, "Oh yeah, people like him. People really like him." I mean, they like him. I mean, nobody says that about Dingle. So Biden was an engaging and a friendly person, and lots of people in Delaware have stories about Biden at their kitchen table. Yes, he actually used to do that. Okay, I think we're done with me veering off of our lane. Let's get back into our lane. I don't know any better way to get back into our lane than a little barbershop Christmas music.
On the first day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the second day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 2 concussions and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the third day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 3 broken bones, 2 concussions and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the fourth day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 4 slashed tires, 3 broken bones, 2 concussions and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the fifth day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 5 charges filed, 4 slashed tires, 3 broken bones, 2 concussions and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the sixth day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 6 shattered windows, 5 charges filed, 4 slashed tires, 3 broken bones, 2 concussions and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the seventh day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 7 PC teachers, 6 shattered windows, 5 charges filed, 4 slashed tires, 3 broken bones, 2 concussions and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the 8th day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 8 unattended children, 7 PC teachers, 6 shattered windows, 5 charges filed, 4 slashed tires, 3 broken bones, 2 concussions and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the 9th day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 9 months of treatment, 8 unattended children, 7 PC teachers, 6 shattered windows, 5 charges filed. From the 4 slashed tires, 3 broken bones, 2 concussions and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the 10th day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 10 years of therapy, 9 months of treatment, 8 unattended children, 7 PC teachers, 6 shattered windows, 5 charges filed, 4 slashed tires, 3 broken bones, 2 concussions and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the 11th day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 11 juveniles, 10 years of therapy, 9 months of treatment, 8 unattended children, 7 PC teachers, 6 shattered windows, 5 charges filed. From the 4 slashed tires, 3 broken bones, 2 concussions and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the 12th day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 12 million years of slavery, oppression, and relentless white racism all the time. That explains everything, especially why white people are always picking on us. I didn't do nothing. NPR told me that I'm the victim and I deserve a total and complete and title exemption from now until the end of time.
Amazing.
11 juveniles, 10 years of therapy, 9 months of treatment, 8 unattended children, 7 PC teachers, 6 shattered windows, 5 charges filed, 4 slashed tires, 3 broken bones, 2 concussions and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. And a stabbed and a ruptured spleen.
One of the things we talk about around here and we document it, is how one of the favorite pastimes, passion, ecstatic pastimes of the fellas and lovely ladies is catching white people in acts, real, mostly imagined acts of racism. I mean, we see it on Twitter. We see it lots and lots of places. So we got one this morning out of a mall where a fella walks into a mall and he's greeted. Well, he walks into a sporting goods store and he's greeted by, you can see this on the video, but you won't see it here. It's just a young guy at a place where they sell sneakers. It's like, I think it's called Champs. They have baseball caps and sneakers there. Sporting goods, sporting shoes, whatever you call, whatever the Nike people are calling them these days. The fella walks in and the white guy goes, "Hey man," something like that. Oh, that was the worst thing that guy could have said. So I want to use this as a way to introduce the next clip, which to me is identical to this one.
I'm in Champs Foot Locker in Montgomeryville Mall, and this person right here that works here, he addresses me as his man and not sir. But when there was another Caucasian man that walked in here, he addressed them as sir, but not my man. And I asked him, why is he not addressing me in like man?
I asked him to leave because he assumes that I'm racist, and he's refusing to leave.
Sir, if I may explain. Sure. I'm refusing to leave because, first of all, I'm a paying customer. And when I walked in the store, he referred to me as my man. How you doing, my man? I'm his elder. When a person of light persuasion comes in, Caucasian man comes in, he refers to him as sir.
Yeah, when he walked in, I said, my man.
He never said it. So he got offended because I ignored him, because I don't like the way that he addressed me. Okay? So because he didn't address me properly, and I told him that, I said, oh, you're racist. So yes, I did call him racist because that's how I feel. And I have a right to call him racist, and just as well as he feels as though he has a right to say, my man. I'm a man full of gray beard here to shop and buy two things.
So, if he finishes transaction, would that be good, or you just don't want him in the store?
No, I don't like being called racist. I grew up in Norristown. I work with African American people. I said, how's it going, my man, to when he first came in. He didn't see that, and he immediately assumes I'm racist.
My role in this, just like you have a right to whatever you want to say.
That's fine.
He has a right.
I'm going to take it up with corporate. That's fine. I understand, sir.
That was going to be my suggestion.
No, I know exactly what to do with people like him. It's fine.
Right. Okay.
I'm not wasting no more of my time. I just wanted him on camera so that I can report him.
Okay.
Make sure you address everybody, my man. How did you address this person? Exactly, not my man. You addressed him with respect.
I said my
and
man
honor. No, you didn't.
Yes,
no, you didn't.
We're not getting
No, you didn't. But you understand what I'm saying, sir.
So there you have it. The worst thing a white person can do, being overly familiar with a fella, that dude's going to take it up with corporate. Come on, man. Have you ever been in one of these places? It's a sporting goods store. Hey, what's up, my man? What's up, my brother? And that's like, now the guy wants to get that white kid fired. And the kid, of course, is doing his best. I got a lot of African American friends. There are no brownie points for partying with the fellas. No, that's not going to save you. When somebody's putting a camera on you and accusing you of being a racist, you don't have any response other than to say, I didn't do it. And remember, the more you say you didn't do it, that is the greater and greater proof that you actually did do it. You actually are guilty of horrific levels of white racism. Yeah, we caught your ass, didn't we? And so to me, there's no difference between what we just saw there about somebody making up a story of white racism at a place where you sell sporting goods, and this story out of Cleveland, where the NAACP says the city of Cleveland, which is basically run by fellas, it's been run by fellas for a long time. The city of Cleveland discriminates against the fellas and lovely ladies, especially when the fellas and lovely ladies don't pay their water bills.
The allegations here are that currently the Cleveland Water Department isn't acting in a way that treats everybody equally. A bombshell lawsuit filed against the city. It claims the water department is discriminating against some African-American customers. Well, the NAACP filed that suit saying the water department is violating several federal laws.
Incredible. Hannah Catlett live digging deeper into the lawsuit and the allegations. Hannah.
Chris and Tiffany, the people who are named in that lawsuit have found themselves in some truly terrible situations without one of the things that we take for granted. That's running water. I talked to one woman about her experience.
A 39-page lawsuit alleges the city of Cleveland is not treating everyone equally when it comes to running water. From massive billing mistakes to poor customer service. For those of you who pay your water bill on time, we asked attorney Rebecca Maurer why even you should care about this story.
For that idea and that mentality to work, the baseline system has to be fair and it has to be just.
She and the NAACP say the system here in Cleveland is anything but fair and just. In Cleveland, when someone is past due on a bill, the water department can add the amount owed to a person's property taxes. This puts a lien on the house.
That's a very unique practice.
That's exactly what's happening in Tania Hall's case.
Hello.
She told us on the phone tonight that her home caught fire in 2015. No one lived here for 9 months. However, when it came time to move back in, the water company told her that she was $3,000 behind on bills, even though no one was living here. According to the lawsuit, the water department is supposed to have a way for customers to dispute charges like those.
None of that was ever offered to me.
So she paid what she could and tried to keep going. Eventually, she had no choice but to have the lien put on her home. Ever since, she's been through an emotional battle, trying to save her home that's now being foreclosed.
I'm losing my house down there because of that.
Maurer says, according to the research cited in this suit, cases like Tania's are much more common in majority black neighborhoods.
We don't know yet exactly what's gone wrong. What we know from the data, though, is that water liens are more likely to be placed on homes in majority black census tracts versus majority white census tracts, even when you control for poverty and economics.
That, she says, is a violation of several federal laws.
So that's a thing now. The thing is, water is a human right. Translation, we must give fellas and lovely ladies free water. So who's going to pay to make sure the water's clean, to make sure it goes to the pumping station and comes out, to make sure that the pipes don't leak? I haven't checked. Why doesn't somebody look up the word Cleveland non-revenue water? That's a measure of how much water you lose from after you just treat it, take it out of the river, you treat it, and then you put it in the system to transport it out to all the different neighborhoods. Look up the word non-revenue water, Cleveland. My guess it's going to be between 30 and 40%. Translation, 30 to 40% of the water in Cleveland leaks out of the pipes before it gets to the neighborhoods. Before it gets to your house in Cleveland. That's just a guess. It's going to be high, whatever it is. And now the NAACP comes along and says, no, we have to make sure, and this woman from the NAACP going, they're not treating black people and white people the same. Well, that's the point of the lawsuit. They don't want black people and white people to be treated the same. They want black people to have a free reign to get free water and not pay the water bills, just like they do in Detroit, just like they do in a growing number of cities where this is now a thing. Why don't we stay in Cleveland just for another minute? Because in Cleveland, they appear to be having a crime problem. Apparently, the young people in Cleveland are, are learning something at school. They're learning what they are being taught at school, at home, in music and movies. They're learning that black people are relentless victims of relentless white racism all the time, everywhere. That explains everything. And you want to know why? You want to know why your grandmother's water got shut off? That's white racism, because we give free water to white people all the time, and the only reason they turned your grandmother's water off is because she's black. Oh yeah, kids learn this. And now we got kids in Cleveland, just like every other city, running around, putting guns in people's faces, And the worst part is we got the victims looking at the kids going, oh, I just wanted to give him a bit. Yeah, you're going to hear this. I just want something like this. I wanted to give him a big hug and invite him in for a sandwich.
Carjacking led the I-Team to find out how many really young kids are terrorizing your streets. Last week, investigators in Cleveland said suspects as young as 13 took part in a series of carjackings and robberies at gunpoint. Now, the I-Team has found overall this year in Cuyahoga County, felony charges have been filed against 68 suspects just 13 years old. The victim here spoke to Fox 8 about felons, barely teenagers.
To be honest with you, it's kind of sad that this is kind of the path that they've chosen. You don't certainly expect to park in a parking lot and be confronted with this kind of situation.
The I-Team dug up the ages of all kids hit with felony charges this year in Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court. We also saw 65 more kids, not even teenagers, suspects 9 to 12 years old. And we also saw in recent years 4 felons, just 7 years old. So what's being done about what's happening on your streets with kid criminals? A new program just started here at Juvenile Court. The goal, get more help to kids the first time they go before a judge. So maybe somebody brought in for stolen property or vandalism doesn't end up becoming a killer. Cuyahoga County prosecutors also now try to push more and more of the most violent teens into adult court, make them face tougher punishment. We met this grandmother of 2 teens in the recent carjackings. She blamed peer pressure.
Follow the leader, and both of them. That's the only thing they do is they hang out with the big boys, so.
That victim knows fighting the problem won't be as easy as one thing that went through his mind when confronted by the kids.
Frankly, part of me wished I could have had the courage to say, hey, do you want to come in and get a bite to eat and reconsider what you're doing?
The Cuyahoga County prosecutor says the trend is younger, more violent criminals. Too early to tell if the new program that just started is making a difference.
Yeah, well, not everybody in Cleveland is as patient with the young fellas as that white victim was. Anybody remember what happened when the 100 fellas were outside of a city councilman's house creating violence, mayhem, chaos, destruction? Sounded like this.
I'm sorry y'all gotta live through this shit, man.
Cleveland Police, Dispatch
I need the police over here immediately. People need to go to jail tonight.
Where at, sir?
13615 Kelso.
Okay, what's going on?
I just got about 100 sorry black kids out here acting a fool. I'm Cleveland Councilman Eugene Miller in front of my damn house, and I'm sick of this shit.
Okay, you said about 100 people out there?
Yeah.
And what are they doing?
Man, just get the fucking police over here, okay?
What's your name, sir?
Cleveland Councilman Eugene Miller. I don't give a damn it's being recorded. I said nobody has to live through this shit.
Sir, the police are on the way. I don't know why you're...
No, why? Because you ain't gonna live through this shit.
What's your phone number?
You don't worry about my damn number. I'm sick of this shit. You y'all damn job.
The police are on the way.
Oh yeah, let me just put an addendum on that one story about car thefts. So we talked about Hoover, then we talked about people doing the identical thing in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The kids in Hoover got off, went out and did it again. The kids in Tulsa are sitting in prison right now. Why do fellas and lovely ladies steal cars? Why do they steal cars? Because other fellas, older fellas, use the cars for crime. Like I just saw a video about fellas cutting a hole in a brick wall at a place where they sold John Deere lawnmowers and other garden equipment and buzz saws and chainsaws. These guys cut a hole in the wall, went in there and stole a bunch of chainsaws on video. And on the way out, they got a brief glimpse of the license plate and they said, yeah, the car was stolen. So that's why the fellas are so eager to steal cars, because there's always a market to use a stolen car for a drive-by or a robbery or some kind of act of crime and violence. Because guess what? If you use your own car, if you use mom and dad's car, and they catch you committing a crime with that car, especially drugs, yeah, they'll grab the car. Nobody wants to get their car grabbed. That's why a lot of fellas rent cars. If you're a drug dealer and you have a rental car like a Hertz, you're renting it by the month, nope, you get caught, that car goes right back to Hertz. If it's yours, it's going in the tow yard. They have confiscated it. Anyway, let's go over to Let's go back over to the city of brotherly love. Probably should have done these two yesterday, but they just keep rolling along. So yesterday we did a story down in Little Rock, Arkansas, and about a pizza delivery driver. And they pistol whipped him, ruined his eye. Yep, kid has a hole in his eye socket. There's no eye there. And he's a young guy, young white guy going, hey, this was over $15 in a pizza. What's that all about? Again, he was just like the guy from Cicero, just like those two girls from Cincinnati. He's sitting there going, why? Why do they do this? This doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense if you listen to other explanations as to why people do it. It's like everybody believes they're like, they stepped onto the stage of Les Miserables, right? And the fellas are the ones clunking people over the head so they can buy their little cousin a loaf of bread so they won't starve. That's not what it is. Robbery is a lot more complicated than that. And, a lot of ways to rob somebody. And if part of your thing is violence, that means to me hostility, resentment. Beating the piss out of a white guy is a favored pastime for lots and lots of people. So I'm always surprised that delivery guys are like putting themselves out there, just being exposed to this incredible level of crime against delivery guys. Okay, and I'll put this, maybe we can do this 2 in 2 days. I told you somebody actually found an Hispanic versus Jewish crime, knocked the Jewish guy's hat off. Whoa. Okay, show me an Hispanic guy doing the old call the pizza delivery guy up and robbing him routine. Show me that. Show me an Asian kid doing it. Show me a white kid doing it. I actually don't have any doubt they're out there. But I just think they're so rare and they're so infrequent. They kind of prove, when somebody produces one, don't they really prove our point? You show me one, I'll show you 1,000. Ditto for the FedEx and UPS drivers, especially this time of the year, especially driving what essentially is a safe, a vault full of all this valuable goods, except for one thing. There's no lock on that safe. The only thing standing between you and that safe is a guy with a pair of short pants on and a good attitude that he wants to get the package to your house and get the hell out of there as quickly as possible. So this is what happened in Philly yesterday when a fella thought that FedEx truck was going to be easy pickings.
And police are still trying to figure out moment by moment what exactly happened in that Lawndale neighborhood last night. What they do know is that the FedEx driver was robbed and shot. The suspect is dead, and folks in that neighborhood are just trying to make sense of the violence.
I thought somebody was tapping on my window.
Neighbors say they didn't think it was gunshots at first. Margie Helverson heard at least 7.
There's no way it's like fireworks out there. We my daughter got nervous and all too, and we were like, something's going on.
A man who lives at this house on the 600 block of Unrose Street told me it was about 7 o'clock last night. A package had been dropped off for his granddaughter, and then shots were fired. His car and fence posts are riddled with bullet holes. Philadelphia police say the 32-year-old FedEx driver was found in this Acme parking lot, slumped behind the wheel with a gunshot wound to the stomach. He was able to tell police he did fire on the man, and a gun registered to the driver was found in the truck. He was taken to Einstein and is in stable condition.
He's a nice guy. He'll actually ring the doorbell to let you know that, there's a package there. So I'm just praying that he's okay.
About 1.5 miles from where the shooting happened, police found the suspect unconscious and shot several times. He later died at the hospital. The man, who was identified by police as 27-year-old Javon Lundy.
He will not be easy picking on that FedEx driver ever again. No, there is no second chance. It's weird when I just saw another story this morning. Some dude was he got out of prison, and he was talking about how he was in his cell, and a piece of paper came in and said, "Hey man, you're free," because of Trump's criminal justice reform. So he was going to do another 10 years. They put a microphone up, and he was like, all happy. It's all great news. Not once did the reporter look at him and go, "Oh, well, what'd you do to get in there anyway?" It's hard to go to prison. And if you're arrested and you find yourself in front of a judge and you do something so serious that on your first go round, they put you in prison, I mean, that's very rare. No, to get to prison, it's usually like 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Remember that guy, the guy in Cleveland's talking about the programs for the kids? How do you do a story like that without laughing out loud during the story?
Being black is exhausting.
Well, I suggest we get the black leadership together, and as these jurisdictions come into Jackson, we throw rocks and bricks and bottles at them. That'll send the message, we don't want you in here.
Getting these letters, we should probably do a lot more of them. Anyway, I think yesterday we did just another story, a story we could do every day about violence in schools. I think the story we could do today, I'm not even going to put it up there. 10 fellas and lovely ladies are arrested, I think in Palm, I think they called it Palm Bay, Florida. And the black woman, somebody's mom is in there. She's like mixing it up with all the kids. And the reporter sticks a microphone in this woman's face. She's trying to hold her face. And she's going, "Why were you threatening those kids?" She goes, "I wasn't threatening those kids. I was telling people to fuck the police." She was instigating the kids to attack the cops. The school resource officer, the SRO. Yeah, he got attacked too. Tell you what though, ever since Obama left office, you see a lot more of these riots where people actually get arrested for breaking the law. So I don't know. The woman got arrested. I don't know if anybody else is going to get arrested, but so anyway, the letter. So we talk about this all the time here. And it's just a reminder, if you got kids in school and you're thinking about moving into that neighborhood, you better check the school, because if your kid ends up in a chocolate school, I will personally turn you in for child abuse. Here's a letter from New York City. Dear Mr. Flaherty, please know how grateful I am for you revealing the truth in pure journalistic format, without racism, without rancor, without apologies. I'm a New York City public school teacher, and I am amazed at the level of denial, deceit, and delusion that exists in our schools. I have been robbed both in and out of schools. I have been the victim of the knockout game as well as threats of violence. I've been warned by my African friends to move from my neighborhood because there are too many fellas. I should listen to them, but all I want to do is say thank you and keep it up. So that's one teacher. There's another teacher. I think the last teacher was New York. Pretty sure this one is from Houston, and that's all I can say without doxing these guys or girls. So we've been posting videos last couple of days of just riots in school. They call them fights. I call them riots. A lot of them, posting them over at minds.com. I'm posting a lot of them at Twitter now. By the way, if you're not subscribed to me over at minds.com/Colin Flaherty, just get over there and do it. Check out the videos. I put up one a day. Just go check them out. You probably already are. Oh yeah, and here's something else you've got to do. Go to colinflaherty.com, sign up for my newsletter. Every single platform we are on, we are short timers on. We have to look at it that way. If you don't sign up for my newsletter, we're going to fall out of touch. And I hate to admit to this, because at the schoolyard rules, if some big tough guy like Willie Shields comes along and punches you in the arm, you're not supposed to scream and shout and go, "Hey, that hurt like a son of a gun. Cut it out." No, even if your arm's falling off, you're supposed to look around and go, "What, is there a mosquito out today? I think I just felt one on my arm." And so if something annoys me, I normally don't tell it, but I have to say this. There's a lot of people posting my videos on YouTube. Good for them. More. A lot of people posting them on BitChute. Great for them. More. So no matter how much they shut us down, we're just popping up all over the place. But every time, I go check out some of the comments on other people's YouTube channels where they post my videos, there's always like 2 or 3 people on every video that goes, "Oh, Colin, I'm so great that you're making videos again on YouTube." It's like, oh man, I never stop making videos. Never. And I tell people that in my emails. I tell them that on Twitter. So we got to figure out a way to stay in touch one way or another if you think that what we're doing here is important as I do. Anyway, let's get back to the teacher. Another teacher, I think this is Houston. He's reacting to the story of a whole bunch of fellas and lovely ladies rolling around on the floor in the classroom in the mud and the blood and the beer, as the country songs go. Hey, Colin, this happens nearly every day at my school. I had to intervene in an assault in the classroom next door to me today. Desks were flying, and one student was backed into a corner while another student was pounding on his head, trying to hurt him really badly. Okay. Great letters. Here's what I want to hear from the teachers. Here's what I want to hear from the cops and the taxi drivers and the nurses and the bus drivers and the firemen. I want to hear those stories. Tell me those stories, but I need just a little more detail. We don't have to have any detail that gives away where you are from, but I just want to hear a little bit more detail and just tell me if this is a one-off thing, if it happens all the time. And just give me some details. Make it 100 words, 200 words, something like that. I'll read it just like these. These letters really have a big effect. So I hope you guys will keep doing them. I'm getting a couple letters from people also who read Kent Brakey's latest book. We talked about it here a couple times on the podcast, how much they enjoyed it as much as I did. So if you look at it, looking for it on Amazon, it's K.M. Brakey, Breakey. Get it for Kindle, get it for your paper. If you happen to pick it up, let me know what you think about it. Because this one's about Ireland, and it's about the immigrants, the African immigrants going to Ireland, and how, it's not a smooth transition kind of thing. No, when the Africans go to Ireland, they want to turn Ireland into Africa instead of go to Ireland and try to figure out what the Irish people are up to. So congrats to Kent for another great book. Looking forward to getting Kent on this podcast real soon. Even if talking about African immigrants in Ireland or talking about the continued success of his earlier books like Johnny and Jamal, even if that does make the black kids angry. Talk to you tomorrow.
On the first day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the second day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 2 concussions and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the third day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 3 broken bones, 2 concussions, and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the fourth day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 4 slashed tires, 3 broken bones, 2 concussions, and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the fifth day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 5 charges filed, 4 slashed tires, 3 broken bones, 2 concussions, and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the sixth day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 6 shattered windows, 5 charges filed, 4 slashed tires, 3 broken bones, 2 concussions, and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the seventh day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 7 PC teachers, 6 shattered windows, 5 charges filed, 4 slashed tires, 3 broken bones, 2 concussions, and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the 8th day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 8 unattended children, 7 PC teachers, 6 shattered windows, 5 charges filed, 4 slashed tires, 3 broken bones, 2 concussions, and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the 9th day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 9 months of treatment, 8 unattended children, 7 PC teachers, 6 shattered windows, 5 charges filed. From the 4 slashed tires, 3 broken bones, 2 concussions, and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the 10th day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 10 years of therapy, 9 months of treatment, 8 unattended children, 7 PC teachers, 6 shattered windows, 5 charges filed, 4 slashed tires, 3 broken bones, 2 concussions, and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the 11th day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 11 juveniles, 10 years of therapy, 9 months of treatment, 8 unattended children, 7 PC teachers, 6 shattered windows, 5 charges filed. From the 4 slashed tires, 3 broken bones, 2 concussions, and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen. On the 12th day of Christmas, a Dindu gave to me 12 million years of slavery, oppression, and relentless white racism all the time. That explains everything, especially why white people are always picking on us. I didn't do nothing. NPR told me that I'm the victim and I deserve a total and complete and title exemption from now until the end of time.
Amazing.
11 juveniles, 10 years of therapy, 9 months of treatment, 8 unattended children, 7 PC teachers, 6 shattered windows, 5 charges filed, 4 slashed tires, 3 broken bones, 2 concussions, and a stabbed and a ruptured spleen, and a stabbed and a ruptured